Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be unboxing and reviewing this brand new miter saw. This is Makita's 40 volt, 8.5 inch compound sliding miter saw. That's a mouthful, but this is a brand new saw that just arrived a few hours ago. If you're new to this channel, welcome. My name's Justin, that was Jess, and we do a plethora of DIYs and home renovation projects and some tool reviews. We've not done a tool review in a hot minute, so this is going to be that video. And if you're a seasoned veteran of this channel, you'll know that this is not our first miter saw, and this is not our first miter saw review video. We did one back in 2020. And that was our first miter saw. It was a Ryobi, and that has taken us on a plethora of woodworking, carpentry jobs, and it's still a good saw, and we will still continue to use it in the future. But we needed something for our business that was a bit more high-end and had a few more perks and capabilities than that one offers. After hours of extensive research, this is what we landed on. So Makita offers, in the 40 volt lineup, they offer 3 different saws. They offer the 8.5 inch, which is this one. They offer the 10 inch and the 12 inch. My father-in-law has a 12 inch compound sliding miter saw by Bosch. That thing is heavy, and I do not want to be lugging around a 12 inch miter saw. I need something portable, something lightweight, and this is a saw that fills that need. First and foremost, I bought the one, just the tool only. It does not come with battery. I've already got a couple of 40 volt batteries. We've been in the Makita lineup for a little over a year now, and I really like the platform. My favorite color is blue, so that helps. But it looks like we've got one blade, and this is Makita's ripping and cross-cutting blade. And then we have our dust bag. We've got a wood support, stopper, whatever you want to call that. Oh gosh. So we'll set those things aside. I'm looking for the owner's manual. There it is, the owner's manual, which will have plenty of great information that I'll never read. Oh my, this is very small. But here it is, the 8.5 inch, I need to work out, the 8.5 inch compound sliding miter saw by Makita. It does have a very tiny profile, tiny footprint. I do like that. I like that a lot. For most of our work, we operate out of our Jeep. There's very limited storage. We don't have a truck right now or a van or anything like that. So all of the jobs that we get, we're very tight on space. This was a huge factor in choosing a brand new miter saw. I think my review of this miter saw, so the unboxing portion is obviously done, but my review of this is really going to be a bit biased. So again, kind of the number one thing is something light and compact that can fit in the Jeep, and this fits that bill. The second is something that has a sliding capability. We don't currently have a sliding compound miter saw, just a compound, and I've had jobs for the past 3 or 4 months that having a sliding compound miter saw would have been beneficial. It seems as though it's pretty much the same. There is this locking mechanism over here on the right side, keeps the compound portion of the saw in place. It locks into place. First and foremost, what I really like about this saw is that there is this handle here at the top, which this is definitely a lot heavier than that Ryobi miter saw. Its tiny profile makes it transportable, or its transport a lot easier, and I like this handle. Now with any sliding compound miter saw, this one has a lot of the specs that any other brand's gonna have, from DeWalt, Rigid, so on and so forth, right? There are a few things that I do want to touch on that are going to be beneficial for me. Number one is that it is a dual bevel miter saw. So meaning it can bevel either to the left or to the right. Having that capability is beneficial for, I think, everyone, depending on whether you're right-handed or left-handed. If you're right-handed and the bevel, it only bevels to the left, which is what that Ryobi saw does. It only bevels to the left. It makes it awkward. It would be nice to be able to flip the piece and bevel it to the right. Another feature is that the bevel and miter control is all right here at the front. The only thing that you have to adjust when you're beveling to the right, there is an adjustment over here on the back side of the miter saw that you have to adjust in order to be able to go to the right. But for the most part, you can adjust everything right here in the front. For me, that's super convenient. So now let's take a little bit more of an up close view of the saw. Now, again, our little stop right here is in the back. It looks like to turn it to the right in order for this to come up. Looks like this is going to be for our extensions to either extend out or slide in. And I think this has to be There we go. That's for this stop. There we go. What your typical setup would look like, 90 degrees. This lever here, I believe, you push that down and you're able to slide freely without any of those stops along the way. It seems as though you have to press this lever regardless in order to be able to move it, and then it will lock into place. So going from 0 all the way over to 45, but maybe there's a workaround for that. I'm not entirely sure. It does go all the way to 60 degrees, and then the same thing on the right side. And like before, you do have the option of allowing it to stop. And there's several points along the course of your miter where it will lock into place, from 60 to 45, 31.6, 22.5, so on and so forth. Now taking a look at the bevel, I believe this knob right here is the one that is for our bevel. Yep, it automatically just started to fall. Loosening that only bevels to the left. So what we have to do, there is a lever right here that pulls in, and now we can bevel all the way to the right. You can see that locking mechanism right here. As you go back to center, it's gonna lock back into place. So, and that makes it easy to go right back to 0. So then you can lock it in place, okay? It does also have these wings here on the sides, which I believe this controls that. Yep. Gives you a little bit more surface. Now I do plan on purchasing a miter saw stand. I've been in need of one for quite some time. So another beautiful feature of this miter saw that I really appreciate is where our sliding mechanism sits. Traditionally, most miter saws, it sticks in the back. If you look at Ryobi's, it sticks in the back. And so it takes up a lot of depth. That's not what I want. I want something that has more of a compact feel. And that's what I like about Makita. That's what they offer. I believe Festool has kind of a similar setup. And it looks as though this is the section where we will be unlocking the mechanism in order to do the sliding. That's what I like about this saw. There's just a lot of little quick releases, quick buttons, at least in comparison to that Ryobi. Now granted, you have to take into consideration that I'm coming from a very inexpensive miter saw from a model that was made 4 to 5 years ago, okay? Versus something that's, I guess this model is maybe like a year-ish old, maybe a little bit more, maybe closer to 2 years old. So a lot of technology. It's a much higher end miter saw. Another thing to point out is where the handle is. This is literally the first time I am ever touching a handle that is a front facing handle. Typically you've got the ones on the right. Pros and cons to either of these, and I think it comes down to preference. A couple other things, it does have a Bluetooth chip up here, which I know is supposed to correspond with the shop vac or the dust extractor by Makita. I don't have that, I have the Festool. And so we'll see here in just a little bit if that hose will connect to this. And then additionally, it's a light, an LED light versus a laser. I do not want a laser at all. I much prefer a shadow line. Let's go ahead and throw in a battery. Again, this did not come with a battery. And so I've got a couple of these 4 amp hour 40 volt batteries, and these are gonna work just fine, I believe. And just for the time being, I'm gonna go ahead and connect our dust bag here. I don't wanna have to lug out our dust extractor. So if you wanna see how that works with this saw, be sure to check out our Instagram and our TikTok. I will be making and even on probably a short here as well on our YouTube channel, I will be making a video with those two products working together. So it does detach from the back. There is a little button here, pops in, I guess, I don't know. Next, we need to unscrew all of this. So give me just 1 second. I believe it's pretty much the same as any other miter saw. So let me get the blade installed. All right, so one thing I'm already noticing in just putting the blade on is how obtrusive this slider is, which I think for the convenience of its compactment, I prefer it. I'm okay. It's not like I change my blade every single day. We are done with the blade. Let's test it out and see. Okay, good deal. Make sure we're not rubbing on anything. This is beautiful. Like just the ease of just that right there. Obviously this is your safety Here's the throttle, the trigger. One thing I want you to notice is how slow the blade starts. It ramps up. It's a brushless system, so the brake is going to be more significant. So it takes longer to get to speed, but it drops off once you stop it. The brake engages much quicker. This is just the complete polar opposite of the corded Ryobi that I have. So the one thing with the Ryobi is when you go to start the blade, it jerks. It's very, very jerky, and the blade also takes a much longer time to start. With this, there's no jerk whatsoever. The miter saw stays exactly where it should. With the Ryobi, anytime I would go to engage the blade, it would jolt and it would cause the thing to move, and then subsequently my piece would move. Enough rambling, why don't we go ahead and test out some cuts. Real quick before we do that, I want to check for squareness. Based on a lot of reviews online, it seems as though most people receive their saw fairly square, and so let's go ahead and check for squareness here. Good there. My hand is off the trigger, FYI. And we are good there. That's impeccable. So let's just go ahead and cut some test samples here. There's our first cut. Looks really good and really square. Let's do a nice 45. We got our shadow line, and this one we're actually gonna have to engage the sliding feature. Smooth like butter. Now let's move it over to 0, and let's try a bevel cut. It looks as though what's stopping us is this side of the saw. So what about the left-handed side? All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The left side of the saw can make that full plunge, but for whatever reason, the right side cannot. And it seems as though a portion of our saw in one section here is going to prevent it from going all the way through. There we go. There are some sample cuts, just simply with a 2x4, and let's just see how far out this thing will go. All right, so with that, and it's continuing to move forward because we're kind of not level here. With that, it just barely takes off that material. And I think this is, I'm not exactly sure what this is because this was pre-cut, so, but it looks pretty deep. That's probably like 12 inches. Well, there you have it. A very basic unboxing and review and a few test pieces cut of this 8.5-inch compound sliding miter saw. I guess we can be done with those. There are definitely some pros and cons to this thing, as there are to all other miter saws. I think ideally, it's more about what works best for you and your needs. Right now, as it seems, is going to fit a vast scope of needs for our business. So who is this miter saw for? Well, I think for one, it's for those that are already in the Makita 40-volt lineup. I think that kind of needs to be a prerequisite. If you're not into it and you're into another line, maybe it wouldn't make the most sense. Or if you are looking to get into Makita's 40-volt line, then this might be a great place to start. I think it's suitable for those that are in the professional line of work, from carpentry to woodworking, and you're looking for a very high-end, efficient miter saw, I believe this is an incredible product for that line of work. A few other things I will note is in the manual, as I was kind of thumbing through it, it does have quite a bit of information. And in regards to cutting material that would be used for bevel, so it has a miter and bevel angle setting, but also it has a setting for pieces that aren't able to fit within the parameters of its cut capacity, and you have to lay that piece flat and bevel it as opposed to miter it. There's a little diagram over here on the side, but then also in the manual there are other diagrams as well for where to position your saw for certain crown molding and baseboards with decorative edges, things like that. I'm gonna wrap up this video. That's all I have to say on it for now. I will be making other content in shorts and Instagram reels, TikToks, things like that. So make sure you go check out those links down in the description box below to follow us on our other social media platforms to stay up to date on more details about this saw as we continue to use it for our business. For now, I still have a lot to explore on this saw, and I'm gonna continue playing with it. Well, not playing with it, but testing out some cuts and finding what its capabilities are and learning it as I go. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section below, or feel free to email us. We have our contact listed in the description as well. All of that information you will find in the description box. Until next time, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more just like this, and we'll see you in the next project.